direction as we move forward. But the main item is the park improvements and those kind of things anyway. So I'll go through a couple items real quick. Recreation programs are winding down as we get towards the end of the year. So as you see, there's not a whole lot going on. It's a little slow around the office and at the rec centers currently, but after the first of the year, those activities will certainly pick up. Certainly want to mention also the Martin Luther King Day activities that will be at Broughton Recreation Center. The parade will kick the day off and come up MLK and finish at the Recreation Center. And our staff is primarily responsible for coordinating all of those events and activities. And so if people have any questions about anything, they can give us a call over at Broughton Recreation Center. I know the deadline to get floats in the parade or items in the parade is coming up. I think that's this week, I believe. So, but as with most items in the parade, there tend to be quite a few that just jump in there along the path anyway. But we still have not received the pavilion at Aiken nor the playground out at Willow Park, and so at this point of the year, I would imagine that will be after or in 2020 that those will get done. We are doing quite a bit around the ballparks to get ready for next season. For the first time since I've been here, at least, we have put ryegrass down on all the baseball and softball fields, and so they'll actually be really green. They're greening up right now, and they look really good. We've done that over the past 4 or 5 years on the soccer fields, and that's helped out quite a bit. But we had not done that for baseball and softball, but this year we opted to do that. A lot of primarily because we have a number of tournaments and games that are scheduled late January and early February and even March, and that the Bermuda just doesn't green up until around June, and so providing that rye in there will make it look a whole lot better in the winter and spring as play begins. So. A couple of other activities that we have going on. Those are on the right. You see the portable pitching mounds, and we have a couple of different ones of those. And so that picture in the middle, we have had in the past, we had the dirt mounds. But because of all of our fields are used for various age groups, you'd either have to build mounds at 2 different pitching distances, or you have portable mounds, and so pretty much all of our fields have gone to portable mounds. And so, but when we do that, it obviously kills the grass and everything underneath, and it presents a little bit of a maintenance issue as that grass dies out a little bit further. And so, one of the things that we had done last year on a trial basis was we put in essentially a concrete runway for that, and then put turf on it, and then we put the portable mounds. And then what we did also is mark the different pitching links. So it makes it a whole lot easier on everybody to be able to have that, both our maintenance staff to be able to take care of it, but then also set the pitching distance right, but also provides better footing all around for the athletes as well. So I mentioned in the packet, City Council was scheduled to award the contract for phases 2 and 3 for Guthrie Trail extension, but that item was pulled. We didn't get all the final clearances for approval of that contract yet, so that will be placed on the January agenda for City Council to award. And again, that's the extension going from Highway 80 up to McCann Road, and then from Judson up to Eden. So that will be on the January City Council agenda, and really it's an 18-month construction, so 30-day delay, other than pushing it out, really doesn't have much of an impact on that. We met over at Paul Martin Jones Recreation Center with Facility Services to determine a number of different projects that we could possibly undertake in the women's locker room. And so we've come up with a good list, and they're working on getting quotes and bids on the different things that we have planned in there. depending on what the budget or what those come back and what we have budgeted will depend on what projects we move forward with. But again, we just wanted to let you guys know that we are moving forward with that, and we'll keep you updated as we move along. Any questions on any of those reports or anything? I'll just keep going then. So, our bond election projects, again, you've seen this chart for the past year now, and it shows us still in the green, which is the design phase of everything. So Lear Park, again, not a whole lot to report on Lear Park. We're continuing with the preliminary design. Once we get that finalized, we'll share that with everybody. But that is two 300-foot baseball fields, 2 additional softball fields, converting 2 natural grass fields to artificial turf, as well as a trail system around Lear Park. So those are the primary items within that, and we continue to work on that as we move along. The Arboretum, Phase 1 has been completed. Phase 2 is in final design right now. We've just saw that last week, the final or the preliminary design, I guess, and we will work on specifications and final bid documents for that. But that includes some additional parking, an entry kiosk at the west gate, which is by Mod Cobb, some additional site lighting, as well as some pergolas, some meeting areas, 3 different meeting areas around the park. That's about a $500,000 project there. Cargill Long Trail, again, just working with the pipeline to be able to get clearances to be able to move forward with the design on that project. And then lastly, Broughton Recreation Center and Park. We had our meeting a little over a month ago, 2 months ago now. And again, just incorporating all those responses into the preliminary design. And as we get that, we will move forward with that as well. But everything is in that. Again, there's a lot of work going on, a lot of it by our consultants. There's just not a whole lot we can share at this point, at least graphically or presentation wise. But I'd be happy to answer any questions you guys have on any of those projects. All right. So the main item that we have that we're going to talk about, and I'd love to have you guys' thoughts and ideas, and hopefully you'll be as impressed with all of these parks as what we have been. But just to recall, on each one of these, we'll go through what our preliminary ideas were and concepts for developing the concept plan, what we heard from our neighborhood meetings, and then where we are on the preliminary design and moving forward towards final design. So at Lois Jackson, the main items there were a restroom, and additional play areas, and a pavilion. Those are the primary items that we felt were important. When we met with the community and the neighborhood and everybody that came out to that meeting, what we heard was a little bit of concern about the location of the restroom. They wanted to see some bike components or something like that incorporated. They wanted to preserve where the new playground is. They wanted to preserve some open space because that's where some of the meeting areas occur. So I think those were the primary items that we heard out there. Oh, we did ask them about the racquetball court, and the overwhelming response was that could be removed. And so those were the comments that we heard. There's the budget that we had on construction for that one. And here is our lovely, pretty picture of what it looks like at this point. And so what we did to address those comments, and it's a little bit hard to see, but you can see the squiggly line, the darker black line in the middle. That's a new trail that goes from the existing playground to the trail to the Borman Trail, and there's a rectangular shape right there, which is close to the trail, and that's where the bathroom has been relocated. So again, moving the bathroom closer to the trail from where it was along Bill Owens to more of the interior of the park site. The playground area shifted a little bit and moved a little bit south to allow for keeping some of those trees and that open space there. And then we shifted the pavilion, reoriented it from it was an east-west direction, and now it's more north-south. And part of the reason that was done is you can see some of those lines in there was our drainage, how that site drains. And by changing the orientation of that pavilion allows for the site drainage, which is an issue, and an item we had heard while we were at that meeting as well. So all of those, we incorporated some of those, some of those comments into the design. On the restroom, again, one of the things that we wanted to make sure were those doors were facing the play areas. Because when mama and daddy sends a kid over to the restroom, they want to be able to keep eyes on them the entire time. And so that's what we tried to incorporate there as we move forward with that. So the other item that we had heard on playgrounds was that we need to provide a little bit of shade over top of them. And so we have selected some playground equipment that, at least on the larger item, has a little shade canopy over the top of the playground equipment. So again, we can change the colors, but the playground structure itself, this is what we've selected. The one that's closest to us here is the new playground. Again, the one that has the shade on it is the existing space, but it will get a new playground with the shade canopy. The one closest then is for the 2 to 5 year old playground specific, whereas the other one is a 5 to 12 playground.
Is that cork down there? Or what kind of surface is that?
Yeah, that's a poured-in-play surface, and depending on the budget, will depend on if we're able to do both the existing as well as the new, as far as pour in place. Our hope was, our original intent was to do both of them as poured in place, the rubberized surface like is up at Spring Hill Park, and that's how we will bid it out. But again, if the budget doesn't allow for that, then we will on the north. The existing one will keep with the wood fibers, and the new one will be the pour in place. So that's what it'll look like, which looks pretty. It's very impressive, at least in our opinion. The removal of the racquetball courts makes a big difference. You can see the new pavilion down there, as well as the bathroom back in the background. And the new playground. Again, preserving some of that space, that green space around the playgrounds themselves was important, and they did a great job. The other thing that does is it allows for better site drainage as well. So, anybody have any comments, questions on that? Looks good. Thumbs up. Good. McWhorter Park, again, going into the project, here are some of the items that we had identified as needing to be addressed within the park. When we came forward with the concept plan, you can see the additional basketball court, new playground, new volleyball court, additional parking on the south side. On the baseball side of things, again, it's primarily was some new lighting as well as the parking lot being updated. Overall budget just under $1 million for all of those activities. And again, here's the picture of what we've come up with. And as you'll notice, the new basketball court is quite a bit larger than the existing one. That's because we're going to a full-size basketball court, which is full NBA size basketball court, which is larger than what is existing out there. But then also having full run-out of the basketball court. The existing one right now, basically the end lines and the sidelines are either on the fence or off of the pavement. So it's not a full size, if you will. So the new one would be larger than the existing one. New sand volleyball court, breaking up the two play areas, having the 5 to 12 playground on the north side, and then on the south side of the pavilion would be the 2 to 5 year old playground. And then also, it's kind of hard to see from this drawing, but one of the items that people asked about out there, or the need for additional restrooms. And so we had a lot of discussion on where to place an additional restroom at this location. If we did it up on the north side, close to somewhere the other activities and things are, the concern was if we broke up those two facilities, if you go to one and it's full, then that didn't really meet the need of what you're intending to do. So so what we've done is locate a new restroom essentially next to the existing one. That way, if you go to the restroom, that you'd have more facilities available to you and not have to try to figure out if you go to one and there's not a spot to try to get all the way to the other one, which is quite a distance. So that's.
You have to run utilities to a restroom up by the courts.
Correct.
Right.
And utilities would be an issue as well. So again, there's some cost savings by locating it close, but also just from a practical purpose, it doesn't. We did look at also, when we did that, is removing the existing one and putting a larger one there, but the cost to relocate one pretty much just dictates that you're not really saving a whole lot by doing those types of things. So just adding an additional restroom is the most cost-efficient way to be able to do that. If you notice, there's additional parking on the north side in that half circle next to the new basketball court, as well as new parking on the west side there, which would replace what we had put. If you notice on this one here, we had put additional parking where it says 18 there, kind of extending that out into the grass area. But we're able to add some parking more closer to the site amenities, which I think is important for everything, and preserve more open space by doing that. So that's what that side looks like. Again, this one's not quite as exciting because not a whole lot actually is getting done to this other than a chip seal removal of a driveway and some new ball field lighting. So this is one of the new playground pieces of playground equipment that we would put out, and this is the 2 to 5 year old playground equipment for, I say 2 to 5, 2 to 5 year olds, I guess I should make sure I define that. And then this is what would be the new playground, which is the 5 to 12. And again, one of the things we wanted to do is provide some verticality to that. We have a really, really nice pavilion out there that's really tall and big, and so we wanted to be able to provide playgrounds that matched all the other amenities that were out there. And so swings are very popular, and so you'll notice we have lots of swings in our playgrounds. Some communities are starting to do away with that a little bit more, but all of ours are very, very popular. And so in every meeting that we went to, swings were one of the priorities for all of our playgrounds. So we've kept those at all of our parks. So don't get caught up in the colors necessarily. These are just renderings of what it could be. But again, now you take a look at McWhorter Park from that view, and I think it's again pretty neat and incorporates everything that we had tried to accomplish and then some. And you can see that there where there's two buildings there next to the existing playground, kind of in the background there. There's one existing bathroom, and then the next one would be a new one. So that's the eye level from the existing basketball court. So as I mentioned, as you can see, the backboard on that basketball court is right there on the fence. Whereas if you kind of look over at the The new court, there's run out past the backboard itself, which is, again, a little bit of a safety item.
Yeah, it's a quick question. My son is 5 going on 6, and we just got into, little kid basketball. And I didn't realize that we didn't, or to my knowledge, we don't have outdoor basketball for the younger people. Is it pretty common in any city, or is it something that maybe we could look at in general? I know it might be a little bit late for this, but how hard is it to
Adjustable
have
height basketball goals?
that, or just have a designated kid basketball area?
Yeah,
Because
they
I know
don't-
every basketball thing that when we're driving around, because my son keeps saying, I don't want to play that's too high.
Right.
And so, it could just be the nature of the beast, and that he has to wait till he gets older.
I don't know that I've ever seen at any park, to be honest with you, any basketball rims at age, at 8 foot or 9 foot or those kind of things. The only times I've ever seen those is at schools when they're enclosed in fences, because typically what occurs on any lower rim is people hanging on the rim that should not be hanging on the rim. And so it's a maintenance issue. I have seen they're starting to do a little bit more on the adjustable height, and they're making them more commercially, viable, and that the maintenance is not as, they're built a little bit better and for that environment. But again, my concern, I understand and certainly appreciate that. And the challenge then is just on the maintenance side. You pull in some behaviors and some items that don't take care of it like you would hope that they would. So
Yeah, totally understand.
so we could take a look at that at some of our. Again, I don't think this would be the location that I would choose to do something like that. But Spring Creek, we could take a look at that, replacing that. One of those rims and basketball goals out there, or at Stamper Park, maybe one of those. Again, it doesn't have to be both of them or all of them. You can kind of see how it goes too. So we can take a look at that.
Wait, before we leave.
Yes, sir.
McWhorter, did you tell me in lieu of covers over playground, you're going to orient the playground equipment so the afternoon sun is not shining on the slides or whatever, plus the materials are less heat absorbent?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And part of that is colors too. When we choose those as well, we want to we'll be selective on the color choices for the slides themselves.
And I noticed on your first slide for McWhorter, you had seal coating the trail, but I thought we were going to, in cooperation with the county, we were going to hot mix
Right.
the trail.
Yeah. So that first list that I had, that was prior to us
Okay,
getting
that
in.
was the
wish
old-
list.
All right.
Yes, sir. This is when we first started talking about it.
Yeah.
And so this is the original list. So again, that item we've shifted as discussed with you.
Okay.
And as we've gone along.
I'm good to
so-
go.
Yes, sir. Sorry to confuse you on that. Patterson Park. And Ray and I were just talking about this one this morning. Although there's not a whole lot of work necessarily that we had looked at out there, but I think the bang for the buck that we're getting out of this from a site improvement standpoint is pretty phenomenal. That parking lot is in very poor condition, and the site drainage and all those kind of things. And so the site work that's done here is going to make this look outstanding. So here, the main item is that retaining wall to be able to address some of the drainage issues that are along there, and redoing the parking lot itself. So again, not a very large budget overall, but very well utilized to be able to have better parking, accessible parking. Part of the issue right now is there's a ramp that goes from the parking lot to the trail, but it has a severe incline to it. It's not ADA accessible. So doing that makes that sidewalk, you have to address the slope for the entire thing, which I know is a little bit of an issue as far as being able to do that, but then also working with the topography that's out there and working with cross slopes. It was a little bit of a challenge trying to get all the drainage to work right. And the other item, right now, the way the drainage works, and goes a little bit off property to the neighbors. And again, we wanted to address that as well. And so that's on that southwest corner, northwest corner of the parking lot, but the southwest corner there, so of that retaining wall. So again, try to stop. We haven't had any complaints or issues. I don't think there's major drainage, but again, we want to take care of what we have. So again, the other item, as I mentioned, is as having true ADA parking and accessibility to the parking lot there, which you see on the south side of that parking lot. So that's the playground that we've come up with there. Again, kind of theming it a little bit towards it's, Patterson's right along the trail and in the woods, if you will. And so that's kind of what we've chosen to be there. We did not look at a canopy over this one because it has such a dense tree canopy anyway. I don't know that light ever shines on that playground because it's pretty thick over there. So we didn't feel it was a very efficient use of our dollars to be able to do that. And I don't have a pretty picture for that one because again, I don't know what we'd show you. The parking lot's what it is. So.
On that one, if you can go back to that playground, I think that playground is pretty more. It looks more substantial in play opportunities than the one at McWhorter. I know that the demographics that go there, but what kind of is the determinant for what type of playground equipment goes at each park?
Well, we took a look at all these, and actually this one here at McWhorter, it actually has more play components than the one does. It may not look like it, but it has different. I can't remember the exact number of play components on it, but there are more because this is only one side. It goes back beyond the picture too, so it's kind of hard to tell. But it does have more playability than the one there does. And again, some of it is just in the view of what you're seeing. So we didn't get the best views on all these. So no, it's a great question though. But we did take a look at that, and that's one of the reasons why we have 2 playgrounds at McWhorter now. We only have one there right now, and that's what we wanted to do is be able to increase the amount of play that was at those parks, and so that's why we see 2 different playground structures rather than just one there. So
yeah, and I do appreciate that because when you have kids at different ages, it's helpful.
It is, and they all, and that, as we know, I say 2 to 5 and 5 to 12, but we know that when you have siblings, they both want to go to whichever one. So
yeah,
it's just the designated as far as fall heights and those kind of things. Spring Creek. So Spring Creek, we wanted to get redo the playground. Restroom was a big deal, and then take a look at shade. So that's what we had come up with on this one. The comments we heard that it gets a little busy over there where we have the shade and the restroom on that west side. We took a look at some additional parking possibly in the future where number 11 is, redoing some of the drainage and taking care of some things. I heard a lot on, actually I think I wrote in my write-up on Mona Drive, or Mona Avenue, but it's on Audrey that we heard some complaints about having the open ditch there, but that's been addressed by our Public Works Department, and then we've continued the improvements with this design to be able to tie into the drainage coming from the south heading north on Audrey Drive. So that's the overall budget. Again, I know it was a real challenge on redoing the trail out there. As you can see, those lines get pretty tight, and so maintaining an appropriate slope on the trail is a little bit of an issue. But over on the Audrey side there, we did tie the drainage, put new backstop, essentially new retaining wall there, but then try to tie all the drainage in together so we have a nice accessible park. We moved the shade. So if you go over on the west side, we moved the shade to where we had identified a possible location for future parking. So we separated the restroom that we have shown there from the shade structure itself. You want them nearby, but just having them all at one, you'd have people, probably what you would end up happening is people running through the shade to get to the restroom, and again, that just disrupts everything. So new playground structure out there as well, trying to fit it into the area that we have. So again, this is one of the play items that we've identified for out there. Again, a little bit different theme and feel than what we have at some of the other ones as well. And there's another component that's not on, that I don't have on here. So as that little girl that's in the seat there is facing, there's another small playground over that way. But again, there's the view of coming into that park, taking care of it, have a little shade out there now, having the restroom, and updating all of the playground equipment. Addressing a little bit of the drainage through there as well. Between the playground and the basketball court, there's a little bit of a drainage that we're going to be able to clean up with that one. Stamper and Womack. So at Stamper, we had taken a look at, again, what we heard most often prior to going to our neighborhood meetings was trails, a lot on pavilions, playgrounds, basketball courts. So that was our concept plan. The big thing that we heard on the Stamper side of things is they did not want a trail, which turns out to help us on the overall budget of it. But what we did is relocate the basketball court up to Fair Street. And then so that's one thing that we did that was very well received when we did that. Add a new pavilion up there next to the new basketball court. Replace the existing, as well as address the parking within Stamper. So then Womack, the items that we had looked at was a new ticket booth, concession building, getting rid of Moulton, which goes between the fields currently, reconfiguring the fields, and improved parking. And so that's what we had come up with. This is one where we had identified two different options, and we asked people to weigh in on how they felt the park should be laid out. So this was one way to be able to do it. Essentially was just creating new parking at the corner of Nelson and Walnut on the kind of that southeast corner, keeping Nelson going, or Pecan going through the park itself. The second option was eliminating Pecan Street through the park, and then having continue to have parking on that east side. Essentially reorienting the Womack side to where the entry is on the north, is what we had taken a look at. So the fun graphics coming in. So that's what, kind of the areas that they were. The overwhelming response that we got, well, not overwhelming. The response that we had was the preferred option was this one here, where we eliminated Pecan Street, and it brought the park as a whole, Stamper and Womack site all together, and we could utilize the existing parking that we had at Stamper to alleviate or to address some of the parking issues that were mentioned for Womack overall. Again, a considerable budget, considering all the site work and parking that we were looking at for that one, as well as the field improvements. And so overall, here's what we've come up with. And so it looks like there's a trail in there, but that's actually just drainage that's through the site. It's not an actual trail itself. So there is no trail. It looks like there's one from the parking lot on the north side to the basketball courts. But since this drawing, we've actually flipped it to the street side, so to go from the parking lot to the basketball courts themselves. Redoing the parking there in the middle. We eliminate Pecan that goes through the site, have the parking on the north side, whereas then we can extend that parking on the south, moving south. Again, the budget only allows for us to do so much, so that darker area would be new parking. And so then we would have the new concession building and entry on the north side of those fields. So the new field would be a full-length football field, and then the fields on the west side would be reconfigured to having 2 youth flag football fields, essentially 2 half fields. We went for a little bit different playground equipment out here. That's a really active site because of all the athletic events and activities that go out there. So we felt that the playground should match that. And so this is what we did is put more of a fitness type course out there. So you see that wall structure that's there in the upper left-hand corner. That's like a ninja course, so you can put your hands in your feet and you can walk through. You try to get up and do those kind of things. Again, the bungees there, some different things. So again, trying to, one of our things is we're trying to make sure our parks are different. The playground equipment that's there is different, and so we just felt that this is appropriate considering the activities that occur in those locations. And then that's what that site would look like. Talking about a transformation of a park in an area. When you get the rail cars out there, you eliminate Moulton Street through there, eliminate Pecan, and really bring that whole site together. It's pretty cool. So that's what we come up with. Be happy to answer any questions, but before I get to that, I do want to recognize a couple of people that you see here today. John Ringler he is our consultant and engineer working on all of these projects. John's been great to work with in coming up with the preliminary design and concepts, preliminary design, and all those kind of things. He's brought on board a landscape architect and an artist to work on all these renderings. So he's done a great job on all of those kind of things. We have Dwayne Archer, who's our assistant public works director. That is kind of spearheading these projects is with Kevin. Kevin's he's facility services, but he's our project manager for all of our for these park projects. I work with everybody over at Public Works, and it's great to have a great team over there, and they do a great job in servicing everything that we do and listening to me whine and complain and everything. And they all hate me over there, but that's okay. They do a great job of bringing me back to where we can be. So, but it's great to have them with us and working on these types of things. So they provide additional insight and that I haven't thought of, and so they do a good job of pushing everybody along. So that's what I have. Talked for 45 minutes straight, or 40 minutes straight. So. Anybody have anything else?
The timeline bar graph
Sure.
that you showed earlier shows construction early summer, late spring, early summer.
Yes, sir. So we're anticipating getting, once we have preliminary design, we still got a little bit of work to do to get to, preliminary design. And then we'll have we're anticipate having final design, construction documents, and everything April 1. I think is that what it was, April 1, and then award in June. I think is what we look at. And one of the questions I always get is, which part's getting done first, or what is it going to interrupt, and all those kind of things. And
I have a thought on that.
It's and at this point, I think it's way too early until we get a contractor involved. The only thing that really, from my mind, it's going to disrupt everything in every park. I mean, that's what it's going to do. But the one thing, the sacred cow that we can't impact is Little League football in the fall. The construction out there will have to wait until. I'll be done prior to their season starting, or I'll have to wait until after it's done. But again, when you're talking about all of the construction of all of these, you're probably looking at 12 to 15 months anyway in total when you're looking at all these sites. And so I don't think that'll be too much of an issue to be able to resolve. So that's the timeline. We'll get preliminary design done, get final design, get it out to bid, and get to work on construction late this summer, or next summer, I guess.
Are we going to be, would it be like one person bidding on 5 parks or however many parks we have here? So it's cost savings, yeah.
Yes, so it would be one project overall.
Okay.
Yeah, we've discussed all different kinds and ways and things to be able to save money and how we do that and try to get as much bang for our buck as we can get. But
Yeah, well, I like talking to one person or dealing with
yeah,
one
absolutely. Yep. So, if you don't have any questions, we're all done. Thank you, everyone.
Good deal.
All right.